Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Bonjour, Assalamu Alaikum, Osio. This is your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live in full effect. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell down below so you can be notified whenever I'm dropping new content. Leave a comment down below, interact with me. Thank you, I really do appreciate your viewership. Let's jump into another one. Today, I was inspired to talk about the film and the movie, also a book called Holes. If you ever seen it, it was a film. It was on Disney, the Disney Channel. I want to say early 2000s. It was starring the actor Shia LaBeouf and also the actor Cleo Thomas. Shia LaBeouf played Stanley Yelnats and Cleo Thomas played Hector Zeroni. Let me know if you know about this film. I want to decode it just a little bit, and I want to lead it into the importance and the power of names. All right. Quick breakdown and a recap of this film in this book, Holes. A boy was sent to like a camp, like a juvenile detention camp, where you're forced to dig one hole a day. 6 feet long, 6 feet deep, 6 feet wide, 6 feet deep. You know, use your shovel as the measurer. The boy was sent there unjustly for stealing like a pair of cleats that belonged to a famous baseball player, a MLB baseball player, right? He was innocent. He did not steal them, but he just so happened to end up there because of an alleged family curse. All right. So since his father and his grandfather's days, he's been hearing about how his family has been cursed. The Yelnats family. His name is Stanley Yelnats. The Yelnats name has gone back and has been cursed for generations, since I believe his great grandfather. So his grandfather, who's alive in the film, it started from his grandfather's grandfather. All right. So pretty much his great grandfather was in their old home country. He wanted to get married. He was a young man and he wanted to get married to a girl in his community. He had to convince the girl's father for her hand in marriage. She also had another suitor. It was an older guy who had land and property. He had more to offer this girl. The father told both the young man, Stanley, and then the older suitor, that whoever gives him like the best dowry for his daughter, like a payment, will win his daughter's hand. All right. He goes to see a seer woman. It's a Moorish woman, fam. Like back then, I didn't realize this, but looking at it with the glasses on, and I can really see like the glasses to decode the matrix. You know what I'm talking about? They live. I look at the film and I'm like, oh, I'm seeing Decoded now. So he goes to see a seer woman to find out like a fortune. They might have even called them gypsies back in the day, but it was a Moorish woman. Her name was Madame Zeroni. She told him that he would have success if he took her smallest pig, which she gifted to him, up a mountain every single day for like 30 days and let it drink from a stream, a fresh stream of water that was flowing at the top of this mountain. And while it was drinking from the stream, that he would sing a song to it, right? And then he made the promise that after he takes the pig and he wins the hand of the woman he wanted, his bride, that he would go back and carry the old woman, Madame Zeroni, up the mountain and sing to her as she drank from the stream so she could gain strength, right? So the young man does this. He takes her smallest pig, he carries it up the mountain every single day and sings to it while it drinks from the stream. Within those 30 days, or I could be confused on the time, forgive me, but I'm just gonna go with the 30 days. Within this 30-day time limit, the pig grew and it got larger and larger, big enough to pretty much weigh the same amount as the largest hog of the suitor, of the man who owned property and land. So by the time he went back to the father of the maiden, the father couldn't decide because both suitors had given him a great tribute, a great dowry for his daughter. He took it upon himself to ask his daughter, which person do you want to marry, this older man or this young man? The daughter couldn't make the decision on her own. Very, very poor selection. I mean, very, very poor ability to choose, right? So Stanley, seeing that the woman that he fell in love with didn't really care for him the way he cared for her, he ended up leaving his pig and just giving it to the father of the girl and abandoning the pursuit of her. He leaves his country and spends all of his money for a ticket for a boat. All right, a boat ticket that took immigrants from that part of the world to the new land, to the new America, fam. So even the immigration part was in there, like, showing up at Ellis Island and all of that stuff that was going on in like the late 1800s, right? So he makes it to America. Lo and behold, he forgot to go back and carry Madame Zeroni and complete his promise, all right? The covenant that he made. He forgot to go back and carry her up the mountain and sing to her as she drank. She was very disappointed by this, and she cursed him and his family forever. All right? So that curse would go until this debt would be repaid or not be repaid. So he learned about this curse on his family, all right? A generational curse that was placed on his family because of a wrong that his great-great-grandfather did. All right, back to present day. His father, his grandfather and his father have not had great luck in their lives. He's now a young man, and he is also not having great luck in his life. It's all been attributed to his thieving, no good great-great-grandfather who broke this deal, this covenant, right? Who caused his family to be cursed. He's been hearing that his whole life from his grandfather. He's starting to believe it. He gets sent to this camp for theft of an extremely valuable item that he did not steal, making him to believe that, hey, maybe I am really cursed, right? He's in this camp. He just so happens to meet a young man who's treated very poorly by everyone in the camp. They don't even call him by his real name, fam. Like, so disrespectful that they won't even address him by his name. That's how important the name is, fam. Your name is important. Your name carries power. That's why I want to lead this to. They didn't even address this young man by his name. They called him Zero. The whole time his name is Hector Zeroni. Had no idea he was related to Madame Zeroni. That was his ancestor, right? So it just so happens that in the modern age, in that time, the time frame of this film, the great grandson of Madame Zeroni and the great great grandson of Stanley Yelnats met. All right, they had no idea who each other were. They just had their names, their family names, to carry the heritage, right, and the history. They get into all this type of stuff at the camp. Stanley eventually teaches Hector, makes an agreement for him to read, to teach him to read, fam, to teach him how to read. Because he had a very, very rough childhood growing up, how he ended up in the camp, going through so many things, stealing. He found out that they were from the same area, that he slept at a park that he used to go to all the time. While Stanley was telling Hector the story of how he got locked up inside Camp Green Lake, he realizes that the story of the shoes that Stanley got charged for theft, right, for stealing, that he actually stole those shoes. He didn't say it to him at that time, but he felt a sense of indebtedness. So this young man, all right, Hector Zeroni, he had a sense of honor. even for a young child, he had a sense of honor. He was like, I should repay him because I'm the reason that he's here, right? He had Stanley had no idea that this was going on. So a lot of stuff happens. I want to like skip toward the end. A lot of stuff happens in the camp. They both end up running away from the camp and try to escape. They end up hearing about a story about a bandit, a legendary bandit who used to steal in that territory back in the early back in like the late 1800s or whatever, right? So early 1900s, late 1800s, around that time. So her name was like Kissing Kate Barlow. So the whole reason for the camp in digging all these holes, that every single boy at the camp had to dig a hole, they were secretly looking for this treasure. The person who owned the camp knew about this treasure, right? And since their grandfather's day, they was looking for the treasure. All right, so it's like a lot of generational things were being shown in this film. I did not make the connections, fam, until recently, until I started getting this information, and I thought back to this film, and I'm just like, wow, this film in this book was really talking about breaking generational curses and the power of one's name, fam. How a family name carries power, carries history. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully it's not going over your head. Hopefully this is making sense. Let me know in the comments down below. Back to the story. So they escape from the camp. They're out and almost in the middle of like a desert type area. There's no towns anywhere close. The camp didn't have any fences, so they didn't expect anybody to try to run away because it's almost a death sentence. You're most likely going to die. You're most likely going to expire from dehydration, most likely. So they end up not even looking for the boys. They didn't send out any search parties, any teams. They're out in the middle of this desert type area for days, fam. For days. The camp thought that they were gone. They thought they were dead. They thought that they were unalive. They thought they didn't make it. They thought that they succumbed to the elements. All right. They thought they succumbed to exposure. All right. Exposure to the elements. They survived by finding like a little boat that was tipped over, and it had some preserved cans, some preserved jarred peaches in there, you know. But let's continue more to the end. They end up climbing this mountain structure, right? And the mountain structure looked like what they would call God's thumb. All right, it was called like God's thumb. That's what they call this mountain in the film. And they started going toward it. As they were climbing up this mountain, Hector gets injured. He is no longer able to climb by himself because he's also tired and dehydrated, both him and Stanley, right? Stanley takes it upon himself to carry Hector up the hill on his back. And when they get to the top of this hill, they end up finding onions growing. All right, so there's history of an onion farmer in this film. If you've ever seen it, you know who I'm talking about. So they find onions growing. All right, a Moorish brother back in the day was growing onions. You know what I'm saying? He was doing his thing and met his untimely demise due to, you know, people who did not like him. But so they find these onions, which were like a lifeline. They were extremely dehydrated. They were parched. They were starving. You know, they were on the brink of, you know, succumbing to the elements. They found water and they found these onions up there. So they stayed up there for maybe like another day, filling up on onions, just eating raw onions out the ground and drinking from the stream. While Hector was drinking from the stream, Sam just so happened to sing the song that was passed down through his family. All right, this song was passed down through the generations of his family since his great great grandfather's days, and that just so happened to be the song that he was supposed to sing to, that his great grandfather was supposed to sing to Madame Zeroni. He sung that song to Hector Zeroni. That ended up breaking that curse that was placed on his family, dog. Like, I'm telling you, It broke the generational curse that was placed on his family. Next thing you know, it's like the luck of his entire family turned around. They found the treasure. They went to look for the treasure. They found it. The treasure just so happened to have his name, just so happened to have his great-great-grandfather's name on it, which just so happened to be his name. And since he was teaching Hector to read, Hector figured out and read the name that was on it when they tried to take the possession of said treasure away from him. It had his name on it. His last name just so happened he spelled backwards of his first name. So Stanley and Yelnats is Stanley spelled backwards. Stanley Yelnats. So that's how Hector figured it out. It had his name on it, which means through common law, that means it's his, fam. If something has your name on it through common law, that means it's yours. That's why back in the day as little children, you would write your name on your toys, you would write your name on your binder or something like that. You write your name on your backpack. So if any kind of confusion went on, look, it has my name on it, it's mine. You know what I'm saying? That's how it went. His father was an inventor, a failed inventor. Somehow, during that same time, when that generational curse was broken, his father made a breakthrough at home, doing his thing, and he was making a type of a formula that would get rid of smells, like bad odors, all right? He just so happened to make a breakthrough during that same time when the generational curses was broken, all right? The family's attorney ends up finding some stuff that was going on with the case, and Stanley ends up getting free from this camp. It just so happens that they got rid of the records for Hector Zeroni there as well. They really thought those boys and nobody was going to come looking for them. They really thought that they were just going to be missing and nobody would ever be the wiser. They got rid of his files. Stanley's attorney just so happened to ask for the files on Hector, figured out he wasn't there, figured out there was a lot of stuff going on at that camp that was illegal and illicit activity. They shut the camp down. Stanley's free, Hector's free. Generational curses have been broken. Check out that film. It's called Holes. Read the book if that's more your style, more your speed. But hey, I really did not realize that this whole film was talking about the power of one's name and generational curses and breaking them things. I'm like, wow, yo, that's wild. And I really wanted to make the connection to today's age. How important is your name? Your name is important. Your name has power behind it. There's honor in it, you know? Like, there's honor in your given name. That's like the first, if not the second gift that you receive from your parents. I would say the first will be life. Once you are born live, the first gift you're given is your name. Most likely you already have a family or a surname that's already assigned to you. So the first gift or second gift that you're given after life from your parents is your given name, fam. And then it goes to your surname, which has power behind it. It should have some sort of meaning, right? So I want to lead into names that I've heard that I know that have power in it, and I just want to give you a few examples of the names. All right, so I want to talk about the importance of angelic names, or even some would say prophetic names or biblical names, but I'm going to focus on angelic names. All right, so the name of angels that we know of are like Michael, Gabriel, Azrael, Israel. Like, these are the names of angels of Elohim, right? Hopefully you know, hopefully you're making the connection. That the El is a Moorish title, a noble Moorish titles. El, Ali, El, Il, Bey, and Day, all right, are the Moorish noble titles, right? These names have power. I recognize that a lot of so-called famous people who have attained fame and fortune, their name is an angelic name, fam. Their name is Michael. I'm going to talk about some Michaels who just so happen to make it against all the odds placed against them. I want to talk about a brother who had the album of the year last year in 2023. His stage name is Killer Mike. Killer Michael. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had the album of the year. He made a banger. Like, come on now. It's a reason he's successful. When he speaks about knowledge. He speaks about us getting our land back. He speaks about history. Like, Killer Mike is that dude. He's a very powerful and conscious voice in our community. He's not just a rapper. Like, it's some rappers who they try to make leaders of, like, in our community, but they're not really doing anything political. This brother is actually putting his money where his mouth is. He putting his motivation where his mouth is. He putting his ingenuity where his mouth is. He's like actually doing the work. He's actually doing the actions. He's talking the talking and he's walking the walk, fam. So it's Killer Mike. That's one. Mike Tyson. We just seen not too long ago the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Iron Mike. His name is Michael, fam. He was the greatest. He was the GOAT. He was the greatest of all time in what he did. Like, to this day, Iron Mike. His name is Mike L, bruh. Mike L. That's an angelic name. That's the name of one of the most powerful archangels. You know what I'm saying? Michael. What about Michael Jackson, fam? The king of pop. Come on, fam. Like, these people, it cannot be a coincidence that these people who carry the name Michael, a angelic name, somehow broke through the matrix. They somehow broke all the barriers down. They somehow were the first to do what they've done in whatever field, whatever aspiration that they have, whatever that they were doing. They were some of the best to ever do it. It cannot be a coincidence that their name is Michael, fam. Mike L. Another one is Michael Jordan. Another one. Who doesn't have a pair of Michael Jordan basketball shoes? Who doesn't know who Michael Jordan is, fam? He's like the most famous basketball player on the planet of all time, fam. He was in Space Jam. Like, come on. He was a pioneer of the game, of what he did. The first to do it like he was doing it. I'm trying to tell you, like, there's power in that name. There has to be something behind it. It's not just a coincidence. It's too many Michaels that are making it out here. The next, I could even talk about Gabriel Iglesias. You know what I'm saying? A comedian. If you know the comedian Gabriel Iglesias, like, there's a few Gabriels out here. Even close to Gabrielle Union. Gabriel, like, it still has that L at the end. Like, and then ill, the IL. Like, come on, fam. There has to be power in these names. There's a reason that these people who carry this name were able to do actions and actually make vibrational waves and actually make riffs here to make a staple for themselves, to actually break through the matrix, to actually conquer part of the matrix for themselves. They had a angelic, a noble, they had a holy, they had a powerful force behind them just in their name, fam. It has to be ordained. I'm trying to tell you. Hopefully this is making sense to you. Hopefully what I'm talking, how I'm speaking is not going over your heads, fam. Hopefully it's sinking in. So besides the angelic titles and these names that just so happen to be Michael, and all these people have done something and been like some of the greatest of all times, you know, like worldwide fame. I also want to speak on your ancestors. So Stanley carried the same name as his ancestors, Yelnats and Stanley, and Hector carried his surname Zeroni. That's how they made the connection. When Stanley's grandfather heard the name and met Hector Zeroni, he instantly recognized Zeroni. He was like, "Come here, boy. You're practically family. Like our families have history together, fam." He immediately welcomed him in because he knew that was the instance that broke the curse on their family, that broke that generational curse. Look at that film again in this day and age with the glasses on, fam, like with your third eye open, you know, like look at it again and watch. Watch the subtleties. Look at the story. What's happening? Hopefully this is making sense to you. But calling on angels. So this one even links to the film I released earlier, talking about angels and souls. I believe and I think that one can call on your ancestors. You can call on angels, guardian angels, if you need the guidance, if you need the protection, if you feel fear, if you feel doubt, if you feel weak, fam. Besides, like, of course you can call on the Most High God himself, but just in case you need like a force that you can picture, like, because having an image in your mind helps you focus and concentrate your third eye, your mind's eye. It helps you concentrate that chakra, fam. So if you need the spiritual guidance in the back end, just imagine a loved one that you have lost. It could be a sister, a brother, a cousin. It could be a friend. It could be a grandparent, somebody that you care for, fam, that you've lost, that has passed on. Call for them as an angel for you, to be your protection, to be your covering, to uplift you when you feel down, fam. Because I really believe that calling on the energies and the names and the spiritual presence, the feelings, the emotions that you got when these people were with you, when you shared moments in time with these people that are no longer here, they will give you strength. They will give you comfort in your moments of weakness, fam. I really truly do believe this. If you need to pray and call upon your ancestors, just imagine a loved one that is gone coming to comfort you. Imagine a loved one that you lost. Imagine someone who's no longer here, that you can just imagine their face, imagine the smile, imagine the loving embrace that they're going to give you, fam. And that will give you strength to keep fighting, to keep going when you feel like that all is lost, that it might be no hope. When you feel fear, like, just call on those angels, fam. I'm telling you, it's real. That power, these names hold power, fam. Call on those names when you need them. They say you can always call on Jesus or Yahshua the Christ. Like, that's true, fam. When you're in doubt, when you're in need, when you're lost, when you feel down, when you feel low, when you feel like you might not have the energy to continue, call on those names, fam. You know what I'm saying? Call on the Most High to comfort you, to guide you, to send angels to uplift you, to cover you, to surround you, to guard you, fam. I'm telling you, names have power. Those vibrations can reach through the ether in different levels and dimensions that we cannot see with our eyes, or we cannot feel with our physical flesh, fam. I'm talking about like the soul plane, the spirit plane, our voice, our words, the vibration, the frequencies can reach there, fam. I'm telling you, I'm letting you know from experience, from what I know. I don't want to make this video too long. Hopefully these points and concepts made sense to you. I want to hit one more point. Just like these angels, there's power in these angelic names. There's power in your family's surname. There's power in your given name. There's also power in demonic names, fam. I want to tell you that there are entities, there are principalities out here, there are spirits out here that are negative, and they want to hide their names from you. Now, one thing that I did read on, and that I've seen, if you've ever seen any movie that showed Christ casting out demons, or any type of exorcism type of film, if you've seen enough of them and you've read anything on demonology, demons do not want you to know their name. This is very, very important. Demons and demonic entities do not want you to know their true names, because if you can call them out by their true names, fam, you can banish them back to the pits from which they came. That's why Christ, Yahshua the Christ, so-called Jesus, would call out demons and spiritual entities and exorcise people Sometimes just by laying a hand on them, sometimes just by calling their name out to them, he would banish these demons because he could see right through them. He could see the tethers that are holding people down. He could see the seeds that are planting in people that are growing malevolent energies, fam. I'm telling you. So there's power in names, angelic names, demonic names, having power, having authority. The Most High gave us authority over all of those forces. We just have to use it. We just have to have that knowledge. I really hope this made sense to you. Once again, this is your brother Zach Bay, Indigenous American Moor. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.